Um, for anyone who watching the first attempt, I guess I ran out of service as I was trying to walk around and get to this location. And I'm hoping it's going to hold up. I'm hoping that the service is good enough here that the quality is reasonable and all that. Um, yeah, so we just got to this campground today, and I found kind of a nice little secluded spot without any other RVs or campers around for me to comfortably be able to host one of these live streams because it's pretty can be overwhelming if there's any additional distraction of people being around who might wonder just why I'm sitting alone over here talking to myself, so it would seem. But yeah, I was going to take a shortcut to get over here because according to the map, there were a couple trails that went through, but it turns out that those trails are all overgrown. So I had to walk all the way around, and that took a bit of extra time. Kind of catching my breath again. But I'm having a pretty good time. I'm enjoying being at this new location, and they actually have, I guess this place isn't nearly as busy as it would normally be in mid-July, and part of the reason for that is they have two swimming pools, and both of the swimming pools are closed. I guess some regulation thing that they have to have sorted with them, and it was supposed to be done in the winter, but then the contractor didn't pull through. Hello and welcome to the live stream. This is my second attempt at starting. I was supposed to start at 6 o'clock, but got thrown a bit of a curveball with anytime you try to set something up outdoors and in a new location for the first time, it might not go according to plan. So yeah, anyone joining right now, if you want to ask me a question or give me a subject you want to hear me talk about, I do enjoy talking about spirituality and different beliefs, our world and the many, like the multidimensionality of the world to include energy and all the things that are beyond the five senses, kind of like the metaphysical things, which I don't think are really should be so separated from science. I think science would really gain a lot to take many of those things more seriously and integrate it into a more unified theory. I also like talking about health and wellness and nature, or anything random that comes up that's a surprise. That can be fun too. So yeah, I'd like to on these see the chat get rolling with different questions and comments, because it can be really fun to be spontaneous and see just where things go, and kind of allow that opportunity to bring me into different perspectives and a different awareness to talk about different subjects. And I think it really has the potential to create some good interactions and good content. So it's been pretty nice weather here. Today has been kind of like a go, go, go. Hello, hi, welcome. Nice to have you here. Yeah, today's been a busy day because it's I'm living in a motorhome. I have about a travel pattern of once every 2 or 3 weeks I'll move to a new location, and so those days those moving days can be interesting because everything, anything packed up and ready to move, and then making the trip with quite a large motorhome. It's really interesting to drive that thing. Makes the roads feel really small. But it has been a nice place to live, and yeah, I think I do prefer it compared to being tied down, living in one location in a house now. So I've been feeling much more energetic these last few days. I feel the energy, and perhaps it's like, um, has anyone else been feeling that way? Like their energy picking up these last few days? Because it feels like it's more than just me. It's like some collective energy rising in the background. Because it feels like my interactions with other people that I've come across in the last couple days, just everyone's more like bouncy. Which I'm not like bouncy all the time. I really like sometimes being softer and tuning in more. And I guess, you know, oh, hello, welcome. Where am I from? I am from northwestern Washington State originally, and presently I am traveling nomadically in a motorhome, and I'm currently in southwestern Washington State, about 100 to 200 miles from the areas that I used to live in. And prior to traveling, I had been living by the Four Corners area in New Mexico for a few years. What brand is my microwave? Ooh, I think it's a Samsung. Man, it's actually it's a microwave convection oven, like the one came originally in the motorhome. And it's been kind of handy to use the convection oven feature of it, because it's just like electric, like having an electric oven. But I try to avoid using the microwave part unless I'm just really lazy. Villain arc. Yeah, I don't know if I'm talented enough to write a villain arc story, although maybe it would be better than some of the other ones. They've kind of lost their luster over the years. I feel like there used to be better villains back in the day, and they've all become kind of like whitewashed, as with many other things. So, does anyone have a question for me? Otherwise, I'm probably going to start simmering down a bit. Chopped. Yeah, I don't know. It's a thing. I don't really like wearing baggy shirts. You know, don't need no excess material. But ah, mm-hmm. Let's see. All right. Well, we'll see who else we have on here to who wants to participate. Hopefully, in a more positive way. I do like kind of seeing where things go, seeing who comes on, seeing who wants to respond to what they want to say. But if somebody's just being very intentionally disruptive, then can you come hang out with me? You could. I don't know if you're close to southwestern Washington, but you can hang out with me in spirit, because there may be an unknown, undetermined distance between us. If you're here watching me live and commenting and chatting, then you're kind of hanging out with me right now. This is like the hang out with Zay hour, you know, for all who want to do that. What do you like to talk about or do when you're hanging out? I really am looking forward to meeting more people. I think that the process of kind of doing these interactions online, these YouTube lives, is going to help bring me to a point of where I'm feeling more confident to interact with other people in person and introduce myself. It's something I've always been like pretty shy, like as a kid growing up, and I feel like I'm still really kind of breaking out of that. Oh, why did I stop live streaming? So, you know, I was on that path earlier, and I was talking about how I was trying to find my way to the spot, and I lost signal. So, and it took several minutes before I was able to get back to the spot I had planned on starting in and get signal again. But hopefully it's going good now. Hopefully the quality is reasonably decent. I found a spot where there's not too many vehicles passing by, but there's one every now and then. But yeah, I'd really like to see the chat get rolling and get some interactions going. You know, I can only be so entertaining when left to my own devices, right? So, sometimes I really like just, oh yeah, it is much better now. I'm glad you're back. Glad you're back. Yay, thank you. I'm still getting used to doing these, and yeah, it's a totally new location that I'm at today, so I didn't have any opportunity to test it in advance. And but it seems to be working now, so I'm happy about that. We're going to be staying at this campground for the next couple weeks, so I think this should continue to be a good spot so long as it doesn't become occupied on the weekend, because I'm simply just recording at kind of an empty part of the campground right now. And it's they're not as busy here as they usually are during the summer, because both of their pools are closed right now, and I guess that's kind of a deal breaker for some people. For us, you know, we make these reservations as soon as we can, 4 months in advance, to try to have the easiest route traveling. You know, when you drive a big motorhome that only gets 7 miles to the gallon, you don't really want to be going back and forth extraneously more than necessary. Do I have a house because you feel scared that I'm living outside? So I have a house on wheels, specifically 8 wheels, which is it's a lot. It's a lot of wheels for a house to be on, I suppose. And the house, which I just drove here today, yeah, I mean, I drive it around once every 2 to 3 weeks to get to the next campground on the docket. But yeah, the thing's 40 feet long and seems like it's about as wide as most of the lanes. And but you know, you park it and you put the slides out, and it feels like it's the size of a small apartment, so it's not too bad. And it's not even like the weirdest thing that I lived in or on, because back about 5 years ago, I used to have a boat that I lived on that was a similar size. And I would say the motorhome is much more practical than the boat was. But you know, one thing you could say about this style of living is that I have a very large backyard, so to speak, because it's always changing. I'm always going where I want to go, and if I want to go for a walk, um, I have a ton of property or trails to explore, you know, whether it's the campground or the surrounding areas. And I don't have to do any yard work either. So that's a that's a plus. So yeah, anyone new coming on, I welcome you to into the chat and to post a comment or a question, and it'll help give me a direction to go, because you know, I don't really I don't really do these videos with a plan of what to talk about. Um, I'm rather just trying to be very improvisational with it. Large yard and no maintenance. Yes, no tumbleweeds to try to get rid of. That's like a never-ending battle, right? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I do enjoy it. I think it's pretty cool. Kind of finding the ways to make it more practical and try to make it as affordable as possible. Because there are certainly some challenges when it comes to living nomadically, especially when somebody is new at it, and maybe, you know, maybe I'm not, haven't been the most prepared person because I don't have a job right now. And since I'm traveling, it's not easy for me to get any kind of job unless it was like a remote, like online internet job. But I feel like I'm not really the right kind of person to pursue that kind of employment. And I also have a feeling that those jobs are probably becoming kind of scarce with the popularity of AI now. So I'm just kind of seeing what happens, and so far I've been able to hold out, been able to make things work. But I do hope that if I continue doing these live streams and start gaining followers and have them become more popular, that it can perhaps be a piece of livelihood, or some amount of income that could contribute to you know, buying food or something like that. Because presently I'm mostly like foraging for blackberries, which thankfully are starting to come into season. Oh, could I show you my house? Yes or no? That may be something that I do on a future video or live stream, but probably not for a while, because I do have, I guess I'm getting more comfortable with being more open about certain things. I've never been somebody that's been too like terribly worried about like privacy or internet privacy, but my partner, um, he's very much more concerned about that than I am, and he's had kind of more issues in the past with that than I've had with like identities stolen and this kind of thing. So I'm kind of navigating the waters of like how much to share. And really, it's only been this week that I started, on this YouTube channel, like having my face on it and starting to make videos like this and interact. So, yeah, a little breather every once in a while waiting for that next. Really, I think sometimes it takes slowing down, calming down the nervous system a little bit in order to find that next more fitting, more resonant thing to do or to pursue or to describe or talk about or to share. Sometimes I feel like people can have different modes when they are speaking, and depending on what the energy is, how they're speaking, it's coming from a different place. For instance, a message can come from the heart rather than the brain or the head or the monkey mind. And, I just really want to see people succeed. My friends and family, people I love, but also anyone. I like to see people happy and doing well and enjoying life. Or maybe being able to realize that sometimes there aren't so many prerequisites needed to enjoy life. I guess there's a helicopter passing by. Hey, maybe they're coming to get me. Shut me down, right? Oh, nice to hear that you're happy watching the live stream. Are there any questions that you have or subjects that you'd like to hear me talk about? I might start becoming a little bit lazy otherwise. I'm glad that, if nothing else, the live streams that I've done these last few days have contributed to. I've been able to make quite a few clips that I started releasing yesterday and today, and I got a good amount of content to continue to publish over these next few days. And I took about a year off from working on this channel, and I'm starting out with a much different approach to it now. So I'm getting to experience how that goes and how that develops. But I think the important thing with doing this kind of project or any other hobby is just for the person doing it to be able to have fun with it, for it to be entertaining. Because then, if I can have fun just sitting here having an excuse to sort of talk to myself with other people who may contribute, well, keeps me from looking like too much of a crazy person. Although I don't mind being a little crazy. I feel like I always used to, growing up as a kid, I just desperately wanted to appear as normal. And I'm not too concerned about that anymore. I'd rather just have whatever experience I want to have. And just like I'm learning to be more comfortable in my own body and my own energy and my own expression, however that may appear, however it may be perceived. I feel like in the past, I used to be so concerned with what other people thought, and I've learned over the years that it's really no way to live when you're trying to live a certain way for other people, when you're trying to seek the approval of others. It can become an impossible task very quickly. Oh, good night. Thanks for hopping on, and if you like it, check out the other videos on my channel. I've just started making a bunch of new material just this week, which hopefully is very timely. I wonder sometimes if other people, whatever distance they may be away from where I'm at, I wonder if they're feeling some of the same energies or same things that I'm going through now. To me, it feels like energy is really starting to ramp up, and we are getting close to, we're just a couple weeks away from Lionsgate, which is they call it the Sirian portal, because there's an alignment that happens between the Earth and the Sun and the star Sirius. And that occurs on August 8th every year. And also, if you're into numerology, August is, of course, the 8th month. So you have an 8-8. And it's really been a very powerful time of year for me these last few years. And I can already sort of get the feeling of those energies starting to increase and those energies starting to line up. Actually, last year, around the Lionsgate time, so I'm very, very largely sober, 99.9% of the time. I don't drink alcohol anymore. and some other things like THC or like mushroom, like neurotropics. I might have like a very small amount once a month or once every few weeks. But when I do have those experiences, I tend to line them up with astrological alignments, and that way it tends to create quite a powerful experience. And last year, at that time, I had quite a powerful experience. Um, I think it was maybe around August 10th last year, right around toward the peak of the Lionsgate energies, and it really felt like this great awakening for me to realizing that we really are creators as spirit. And even though we often feel limited in this realm, being how we say in the physical on earth in a human body, we really aren't so limited to that. We are more than just limited to that. And I think people are going to find gradually, as they build their faith in themselves as being spirit, a creator, have the power to build whatever kind of experience in this life that we desire, even if that means experiencing the world very differently than perhaps we have for many years, or entering a whole new layer of beliefs about what we are capable of living as humans on Earth. The potential of entering a much more magical state of existence where we decide what is possible for us and for our own experience. And it may mean even the potential for us to live much longer lives in these bodies than we're told is common or possible, and to be much healthier than we see most other people being, or much more energetic, or not needing so many of the things that we're told are necessary to thrive. I do find it really exciting, the potential of what may open up in these lives, the timelines which we choose to inhabit, the variety of experience of which we get to choose from and pursue. The variety of people, personalities, and spirits of which we get to meet. The variety of that which we get to share and create and add to the collective the things that we get to make and then move on from, but still exist and have the availability to be seen and heard and witnessed by others. The opportunity to be seen and witnessed by the infinite possibility of synchronicity, the infinite possibility of who may be drawn to that energy to bear witness, to participate, and to learn. And I think in my life, I can learn to continue to trust that I don't need to be forceful or controlling in my attempts to create. I can trust that I can simply allow intelligent infinity to carry me in the direction of which I can have the most fulfilling life experience from which to learn from and from which to be of a better participation in others' lives. I really like when I can contribute to help others learn to be happy and to be present and to find peace and love. Hello, Pixels to Projects. Welcome. Feel free to ask any questions or post any comments or subjects that you would like to hear about. Presently, I'm simply relaxing into hopefully bringing forward some wisdom. I don't know. I'm sure it will help somebody who listens to it. If I were to be attacked by vampires at this moment, what would I use to defend myself? Well, they say a wooden stake to the heart is the optimal way. And actually, you know, it's funny. So I just started looking down at the ground, and like literally, I walked up to this campsite a half hour ago and started streaming. I didn't take any time to look around, but you asked what I would use, and look what I found on the ground: a wooden stake. It's a warmer gray colored pencil. So I'm not really sure if it would be enough, but you know, if you had like, you've seen those people with like those really strong guys where they'll take like a rag and bunch it up, and they'll take a nail in their hand like that, and you know, be able to drive a nail into the wood. If you had the right technique, or if you were crazy enough, you know, hey, you could potentially ward off vampires with. But you know what I really like about that, and what I really like about the seeming randomness of subjects that may get brought up in a live chat, is that very often there is a strong synchronicity behind it. It also kind of looks like it's been chewed on, so I'm not sure if it's vampires that did that, but could be. I don't know. The concept of vampires and certainly werewolves also and the like, I really find to be like those concepts to be really interesting, and I'm curious about um, how real some of those stories um, may be or may have been. Perhaps if whether vampires did exist truly at some point or whether they exist today. Jesus loves me. Yes, he does. Jesus loves you too. I see. I see the second coming of Christ as being a collective energy rather than an individual incarnation, and I think that there's millions of people on Earth right now who are participating in um, that rising of Christ consciousness, and I hope to be part of it. So I wonder if Jesus loves vampires, though. Probably. I don't know. Hmm. Yeah, it can be very interesting, both mythology and history and religion and divinity, exploring the realm of what really is possible. And I like to think that so much is possible. That's something that really fills me with excitement and joy is so many of these stories that we've heard about, whether they're biblical or legend or from antiquity, may call myths or alternative beliefs or conspiracies. I feel that there is so many levels of truth to so much, in that it is sometimes, or to a large extent, created by the consciousness of those who participate in that story, who listen to it. Strange, you think we have our own consciousness, but you also think we have another that we share. Yeah, there is there's a great extent to our consciousness, and as you connect with the part of yourself going from that alpha point to that omega point, or rather the omega is not a point, the omega is becoming more closer to the all that is, the lines get blurry and we can start to more blend in to the collective consciousness and feel more connected, interconnected with it and as part of it, and even develop an ability to, as we choose to, reach out and connect to that greater consciousness. and bring that energy down to earth. As I say this, kind of reminded myself just now to take my sandals off, because I find that being barefoot can really help me bring those energies down and ground them down. It's like creating an electrical circuit or a conduit to be able to bring heaven to earth, to bring this concept of paradise or heaven or peace and love into our everyday earthly experience, and to create that in the now and to share it with everyone who we come across. Jesus loves you. Amen. The president is a master storyteller. Yes, absolutely. This is an AI generated stream. I can tell by the pixels. Yeah, it's probably, so I'm sitting, I'm kind of in the woods a bit. I know it's kind of hard for AI to do a consistent moving background like this, but I'm in the woods and I think I only have a 4G connection right now, so I'm probably not uploading at the highest quality, but it's actually what I like. I just started doing these live streams, and one thing that I do really like about this format is it's really, especially when you make things more dynamic, it is, not possible for AI, the current level of AI, to replicate that. And, I think that's something that as humans, we're going to have to start to look for more and more of ways to communicate and socialize that is going beyond any possibility of AI interfering or taking over, because we're not going to stop what the large language models and that which people call AI. We're not going to stop what's been happening or the direction that it's going. But something that we do all have the choice in is to decide to change how we do things to boost our creativity and boost our uniqueness to a level that goes far above and beyond what any AI is capable of, at least for a long time, hopefully. Let's see if I missed any messages here. Just because I'm here doesn't mean it's AI. Oh, yeah, that's funny, because the pixels to projects. I bet you must be an artist, right? Let's see. Who's next? Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever hears my word and believes him who sent me has eternal life. He does not come into judgment, but has passed from death to life. Ooh, that sounds really cool. I actually want to read that again to try to take it in a little bit more. I'll see if I can voice act it properly. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever hears my word and believes him who sent me has eternal life. He does not come into judgment, but has passed from death to life. I feel like I've got too much going on in my head to really take that in as much as I want, but that's just on the read through it sounds very cool. For I am determined to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. So I do really like Jesus. He's a cool dude. I believe truly that anyone can talk to him as spirit if they choose, among many other spirits. He's just a very famous one, of course. But if I were to say, if there's anything about Christianity that I'd get a little bit of hang up from, is being overly focused on the crucifixion. I just feel like sometimes it can take away from the message that Jesus really intended, that of being spreading universal love and peace. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Yeah, our words can really, I mean, it's, our words can be very powerful. Our words are how we largely choose to interact with the world. And especially if you take the meaning, if when you say words, you mean how you're saying something, the energy, the tone with which you carry, and your intention. You can, you could say you spell words, and words can be like casting spells on someone, and they can hurt and they can heal. And I'm sure Jesus used a lot of words to heal others. And so much of that comes down to encouraging others to believe in themselves and believe in their own power to heal themselves and to live a fulfilled life. I'm single, aren't I? No, I have a partner. Although we're not like, I don't know, we're not like the most romantic necessarily. But Russians will soon come to take Alaska. This is our land. Yeah, I don't know. If it happens, it happens. I mean, rather, if something happens, we'll respond appropriately at that time. You know, each one, each person, in how they can be most effective in their lives towards helping others, whatever that means to each person, depending on possible situations that could happen. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. Yeah, so I really enjoy connecting with spirits and other energies, and I would absolutely encourage others to reach out to spirits, but I, with that, would also give a little bit of a caution to say you want to, like, say if I were going to ask to connect with a spirit or ask for assistance, I would say, like, I invite spirits of the light, those who are well-intentioned, to guide me at this time. Those angels, my soul family, my spiritual friends and kin. I invite you to come join me at this time to participate and enrich my life and help enrich the lives of others who may be participating in this conversation. And so in this way, I like to open this door or portal or window to invite in only those who are here to help and who have the positive intentions to help support my life and others. Have I ever tried to read? Um, no, if it's from the Bible, I only, I think I read like a children's Bible a couple times as a kid, but I'm really not familiar with the specific verses. Am I Alaskan? I'm not Alaskan. I'm presently in southwestern Washington State. I grew up in northwestern Washington State, and I'm traveling now. I had been gone from Washington State for a few years, and I'm back now for the summer. I have been to Alaska, I want to say on two different occasions when I was a kid. And oh yeah, no, I remember now. One of the times I was in Alaska, I think it was when I was 8 years old, 7 or 8. I think I was 7, and so we took a ferry, a decent portion of the way to get up there, and I remember my mom and I were walking around this very large ferry boat, and we walked up towards the bridge or the helm, and they had the door open, and we kind of peeked in, and the crew said, "Oh, come on in, come, check it out." And then the skipper actually he invited me to stand in front of the wheel that steers the ship, the big, very large ferry boat, Alaskan ferry boat, and they had like a gauge that told you how far that the wheel was being turned. And so he would just tell me, oh, turn it, 10 degrees to the left, turn it 20 degrees to the right. And for like 10 minutes or so, I got to just follow what he said and turn this big ferry boat as like a 7-year-old. So that's that was fun. And then the next time I was in Alaska was when I was, I think, 16. My mom and I drove a truck and camper, truck bed camper up there. I think she was doing most of the driving. And we went, actually only were in Alaska for one day, but we were in the Yukon for a couple weeks, and we went all the way up to Inuvik, which actually is Northwest Territories, because you go all the way north in the Yukon, and it actually crosses over into Northwest Territories. And I don't really know why we went there, because it was like 500 miles up the Dempster Highway, which is basically a glorified dirt road, and we didn't really do too much in Inuvik, but it was fun, though. It was a really interesting trip, and we saw a ton of wildlife along the way. I have not had a deer tick crawl up there. If that is happening to you, seek medical attention. Let's see. Where do I think the Garden of Eden is? I personally think that it is under the ice of Antarctica, and once Adam and Eve created original sin and sent them out, he split Pangea so no one can enter. Yeah, I have heard I'm guessing from different sources than that story, that that the what people would refer to as the Garden of Eden, or refer to as Earth before the fall. I've heard that was in fact in Antarctica, and that due to like pole shift, the Earth actually sort of, the Earth is on this, I believe it's 23 degrees like off kilter from being like straight up and down relative to its orbit, which is unlike um, most other planets in general or in this solar system. And yeah, I've heard it to be that one of these pole shifts uh, caused a very large change to happen amongst the continents to where you would have had originally Antarctica being a much more tropical environment. And I think it's even supported by, they find like a lot of fossils down in um, Antarctica, which you wouldn't think would be there. I'm trying to find the sun is setting, so it's creating a kind of an interesting light situation. Let me see what else to comment on. So, yeah, in split Pangea, so no one can enter. Yeah, I think it's very possible that interpretation could hold up. Um, you're up near Bellingham. Oh yeah, I used to live up there, and in fact, right now I have a friend that is living in Bellingham, and I'm trying to encourage him to drive down and visit me here. But it's like a 200-mile drive from Bellingham. I actually lived, if you're familiar with Semiahmoo Marina, it's up by Blaine, just across the Drayton Harbor. But I lived on a boat there for about 4 years, and that was a very interesting place to live and quite an interesting experience. They watch us from the skies. Their eyes see more than ours. Don't look up at night. I've actually been getting quite comfortable with the dark. Um, I think growing up here, we've often been told to fear the dark, but I find the more that I get comfortable with being outside in the dark and without relying on, say, a flashlight, there's a great peace that I start to connect with as I let go of that fear. Do a backflip. I really wish I was like more acrobatic and could do flips. I think here's a flip I could do right now. Flip, flip. I guess that could be called a backflip if I'm flipping the camera and flipping back, because on this YouTube live app, they literally call it flip with a little two arrows in a circle. Mesopotamia theory. Many locate the garden in the southern region of ancient Mesopotamia, modern day southern Iraq. This area features the convergence of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers before they empty in the Persian Gulf. Oh, hi, Bethany. Yeah, when I think about um, like the concept of paradise, the concept of the Garden of Eden, or um, I, I kind of imagine it to be um, more of the earth uh, as more of its entirety. Of course, not every region of the earth is going to be super habitable, but it's I think of it more as like the timing of how the global and celestial, how the galactic energies were at that time, which may have created a a more resonant living environment, both for people and animals and sort of nature coexisting. And I feel like Earth had entered more of a dark area It's referred to as it's like the fall or like the fall of man. And or you have like a time period, say like the Dark Ages. And the Dark Ages would kind of represent the bottoming out of those energies, and but then followed by the Renaissance, and since then, I think that there has been a rising up of energy to where Earth and the human collective is getting back to some closer to some of those same energy levels of the Garden of Eden or paradise. And I think that I, I'm starting to feel that way more. Uh, I feel more and more each year, and especially each summer that comes around, as I'm outside and connecting with nature and feeling energies, or walking barefoot and or being in the sunlight. I find that year over year there is an increasing energy that all the time is feeling closer and closer toward that energy of paradise and that energy of the Garden of Eden, and this view of of heaven on earth, and heaven across earth, not simply limited to one location. Heaven being created wherever we are. For we are learning that we have the capability to create that feeling, that perception in our own environment by choosing to see that level of beauty in our surroundings and in the people that we interact with, and in the plants and animals and all life and consciousness around us. I think people really have the power now to create that. And I believe that that will be fully realized in many of our lifetimes here, these current lifetimes. And I'm so excited for that. Armenian Highlands theory. Another prominent theory places the garden at the source of the Tigris rivers. This elevated, lush region is located in eastern Turkey, near the historical area of Armenia and the mountains of Ararat. It's kind of a cool word, or name, Ararat. Unfortunately, Antarctica is far away from the landmass location of the rivers mentioned in the text. Yes, near Blaine. Your friend Angel lives on a boat in Blaine Marina. I wonder if they're still allowing new liveaboards there, because it was in 2017 that I became a liveaboard at Semiahmoo Marina, and I had bought the boat at the same time and planned on moving there because my dad actually lives in Birch Bay. And he was telling me, oh, this is such a beautiful area. You got to come live up here. And it was real practical because it only costs like $400 a month for the mortgage there. But I found out after I started renting that slip at Semiahmoo Marina as a liveaboard, I found out many months later that I was actually the last new person that they allowed to do that. And after that, they cut it off from allowing any more liveaboards, even though it was like kind of referred to as like the condominium marina, and that was kind of their thing. And when I had initially got the boat, I had planned on being able to live in one marina for several months or a year and then go to another. And had been planning on going down to live in Everett or Seattle, which is more around the area that I had spent more time living and working in. And I I had got on the wait list to be a liveaboard at the Shulshul Marina, in Northwest Seattle. And after like 3 years, I eventually just got a slip down there, and they said, "Oh, well, you can't be here more than 15 days a month." And I had to basically pretend that I wasn't there half the time that I was. And then after several months of that, after they had told me that, I had only had a couple months left to wait to have my point on the wait list to get liveaboard status there, they said, "Oh no, it's going to be another few years." And I just quit my job. I sold the boat, and just it went a whole nother course in life. And I guess in a way I'm glad that that happened, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. And I really appreciate the opportunity I have now to travel around in the motorhome, and it's just a lot easier than living on a boat, that's for sure. Guess who's back? Is it Slim Shady? Oh, what is the conversation about? The conversation about is whatever engagement I receive or inspiration I receive to talk about, you know. Like, I find it funny, like somebody mentioned, how would I fight off a vampire? And I looked around here just at this random campsite that I happened to sit down at to record this live stream, and sitting on the ground was, I'm like, oh, well, I would use a wooden stake. And then it's like, oh, here's my wooden stake. Okay, I'll keep that handy in case vampires attack. The king puppet from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Oh, right. Yeah, it took me a sec to remember what the king puppet looked like. Oh no, I've run out. I've run out of chat. Well, I guess I'll chill out then for a minute and see if anyone comes on and joins, if anyone else wants to chat. But I just started doing these this week, and I've been sitting down and making one every day because I find that I'm having fun with them. And sometimes I get a good amount of engagement that keeps me rolling from subject to subject. And other times I'm kind of left to my own devices, or left to the support, perhaps, of my guides or spirits who may want to help participate. I am having a little bit of difficulty finding a good angle with the sun right now. So I guess might as well move around a little bit and see what looks good. Oh, thanks. I enjoyed being called cute. You who join a connection like this, if they may be feeling some of the same things that I'm feeling, if whether I'm able to convey that in a helpful way, or if it's a more global energy that we may be feeling together. Right now I feel I feel energetic, but also peaceful. I feel like I feel my body continue to open up more internally, to allow what I believe to be a divine energy to stream through it. Not that there's anything special about me, because there is a divine energy that surrounds all of us. It is available to all of us. We can invite this energy, the energy of light, love, into our being. We can carry it with us. We can radiate it through us. We do not need to take ownership of it or possess it or contain it. Rather, letting it flow. And trusting that this energy will guide us, that the energy will move through us as it needs to and express through us in the best way that it can. Welcome, anyone new who may be tuning in and listening. I invite you to participate in the chat, ask me a question, whether it's a subject that you'd like to hear me talk about or something personal that you could use some spiritual guidance on. I'd like to be able to create energetic channels to help people connect with their guidance team. Crude just went over 100. I'm expecting it to go parabolic, go get gas. So, I drive, I live in a 40-foot motorhome, and I'm living nomadically with my partner. And every 3 weeks, with our campground membership, we change locations. So I'm driving at about 2,000 miles a year, maybe, but the thing only gets 7 miles to the gallon of diesel. And it has a 150-gallon diesel tank, which allows it to have up to 1,000-mile range. So as you know, we were planning up this trip going from the Oregon coast up into Washington months ago in April, I decided to kind of bite the bullet and to fill up, or largely fill up the diesel tank at like $6.10 a gallon for diesel, because if you could believe it, at the time that was like the cheapest around. And a couple months after that, I found that the price, I could have got it for like $4.50 at a place back in Oregon, and I'm like, dang, I shouldn't have filled it up at the time, because I was kind of feeling like, oh, maybe there's going to be a better opportunity. But I didn't like being in that state of always like running the tank on low and having to get a few, 10 gallons here, 10 gallons there to get to the next place. I like that feeling of like being in power, to know that it's like, hey, I can buy, all this fuel now, and I'm not going to need to buy fuel again until October. So I felt a little bit like, when I saw the prices go back down, I felt like, dang it, I could have done better. But maybe they will still really go crazy this summer. You never know. I think it's good with different things that could happen in the world. The things that can really like have an impact directly on our lives, to be aware of these things and to have our own kind of way of being prepared, but without becoming fearful of things, especially not become fearful of things that probably will not have a direct impact on our lives. Let's see what's next. You are definitely trans. No, I'm not actually trans. See, the way that you tell, that would be pretty hard to fake, is that the width of somebody's head, for males, it's 1/3 of the shoulder width, and so you can picture my head here, and like if I was three-headed, I would have another head here and another head here, and it would, that would account for the width of my shoulders. And some people who are trans and like say if they're male to female, and they don't want people to know that, what they'll do is they'll have very like big hair, so that it will disguise the fact that their shoulders are relatively broad compared to their head. But then you also got the Adam's apple and the equipment down there, which is pretty hard to replicate. But the I do find it really interesting, the amount of variety of experiences that people get to have in this earthly incarnate experience in our now time, in this year that we're calling 2026. Getting to have that opportunity of going through life in absolutely different ways than was possible or expected before. And I think a lot of that does boil down to, I think of us as spirit individually as having very many incarnations of lives that we live, far beyond just incarnating on Earth or incarnating as human or incarnating into a particular gender like male or female. I believe myself to have had many past lives that were female and probably quite a bit more that were male than female, because I, as a spirit, even though our individual spirits do not necessarily have gender, we do have a preference of gender. We have, like, you could call it a style, which becomes common to us with how we go about living these many lives and incarnations of which we go through. And I feel that a lot of people who are trans perhaps are incarnating into a male or female body, or vice versa, having had many more incarnations as the other gender or sex or way of being. I will also add, and this is a concept that not as many people think about, but in this idea of the great big galaxy and all these different life forms that could exist far beyond humans, and there are a lot of species, and I believe a lot of intelligent civilizations out there among the stars, which are neither male or female. They're either androgynous and have become more as one, or they could be a unisex, where the the person basically can reproduce with others, but can essentially take either role, meaning like they're both. So that's just some ideas to throw out there if it helps expand anyone's horizons. Let's see. You look like a human. Yes, it does well that I look like a human right now, because I suppose if I didn't look like a human, if for some reason, say, if I were to look like an 8-foot tall galactic lion standing on its hind legs, that might, I might have the torches and pitchforks pointed my way. So it is good that I look human. Guess that's why my head's so big, because I have wide shoulders. Yeah, the body, you can look at things like Fibonacci or the golden ratio, and it really, our bodies fit the golden ratio in like so many different ways in the Fibonacci sequence. But there is a different template uh, to some of those things when it comes to male and female. If hmm, yeah, I'm not sure if I could really pick between those two things. Um, Kind of makes me think about like I guess the first thing that springs to mind is the old South Park episode of when they're deciding a new school president and they have to choose between a giant douche and a turd sandwich. And I think it's Kyle is like, I'm not voting for either of them. This is ridiculous. And then he gets like totally roasted by everyone because he's not participating in democracy. And I really see our political system and voting like that, that, people like in the US, especially, I'm sure also in a lot of countries, are given the choice of voting for either like a giant douche or a turd sandwich. And they think, oh, giant douche, turd sandwich, turd sandwich. It's like, yeah, we don't have to keep, anytime somebody votes, they're basically giving their power away because they're saying, I am acquiescing to whatever this person who's now going to represent me, like what they're going to do. Where if enough people started to go a different direction and not support that system, we could have a very meaningful evolution of our society and government that I think could uh, give us a lot more freedom and a lot less corruption, and have people living more fulfilling lives where they're not, having to make choices between eating dog poop and shoveling 9,000 pounds of rock. There's a cat sneaking up behind me. Really? I really like cats, and cats really like me. I also like lions because lions are big cats, and it's like my spirit animal. So, yeah, he's sitting there staring at me. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this one and see if I can spot him. Yeah, cats are really they're they're something else. They're definitely, I think, multi-dimensional, and I believe them to that cats are here for a purpose, to watch over humans and to protect them from negative spirits which might harm them. And this channel is called Lionheart, and it's my it's my name, it's my last name, Lionheart, and it really does mean a lot to me, in that I feel like I am, and well, it's Lionheart Rising, right? Is the present name of this channel, and I feel like my heart is opening up and rising to this point of being connected to this collective consciousness, and a collective of which I really carry more of a feline representation of, because I've had many incarnations as feline, and well, I would say probably more than as human. But Made me look. Yeah, well, I don't mind. I don't mind looking around. Oh, I look like Jesus. Yeah. Uh, I just need to like a white robe now, right? I know, like wearing purple is. I think this is the only purple shirt that I have actually, but it's kind of different. But sometimes I do kind of connect. Well, white you can kind of connect with like ultraviolet as being like the collective of colors, and purple is next to that. You know, of course, ultraviolet, violet. It's the highest vibrationally speaking in the human uh, electromagnetic wave interpretation, color interpretation range, within our vision. Said another way. So yeah, I'm probably gonna have to. It's getting to be. Um, it's probably 7:45 here. Um, so the sun's getting pretty low. It's creating a bit of a lighting challenge. So yeah, I've been doing these live streams. It's my first week that I'm doing these. Uh, this is 5th day in a row, and I'm kind of just getting in the rhythm of it. But I'm having fun with it, enjoying um, enjoying kind of the chaos. Guess I'm gonna try to sit this way for a little while, but I don't know if maybe the sun is a little too blinding. Let's see, what should I talk about next? Open to any questions, comments, or suggestions, or shout outs of what's going on in your world, in your life. Anything good, anything bad, any struggles? Maybe I'll try coming over here. Can you mute Bethany Smith? No, probably not, because I think she's a pretty cool person, and you know we want to hear what everyone has to say, unless unless they're being intentionally disruptive. What's up, man? How's it going, Tristan Aguilar? At first I thought I was like, oh, does that say guitar? And it's like, oh no, it's Aguilar, because I play guitar a bit. I'm starting to get into playing guitar, and it's fun. Did I have dinner? I had dinner of sorts. So we just got to this new location today, this new campground, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's like a little bit lower elevation or maybe it's receiving more sunlight. But some of the blackberries are starting to come in here. The vast majority of them are still very green, but there's a decent amount of ripe ones to pick. And I kind of made a joke with myself earlier that my version of eating out is to like go outside and like pick blackberries when I can get them, and yeah, so that's kind of been my dinner so far today until whether I cook something later or not. I also actually had some sardines because they're pretty nutritious. Let's see. Me and my aunt went to Applebee's, and I ate some quesadillas with just the chicken and cheese. They were good, but each one was tiny. We were gonna get donuts at Krispy Kreme, but it was raining too bad. I used to like Applebee's as a kid or like a teenager. Actually, like I think in my early 20s, I had for a while I had a couple friends where we would meet up at Applebee's like every Wednesday because they had um, they had like an like a half price appetizer special, and we would between the three of us, it was me and like these two girls, we would share a pitcher of beer and play like they had like these little table games that you could play and like order like the half price appetizers and whatever. But oh man, I I guess those, it was kind of like a fun habit or experience at the time, but I'm definitely like looking back now, I'm glad that I'm not drinking alcohol anymore because I just really don't think it's worth it. Is that Jesus? Well, we've been talking about Jesus quite a bit in this live stream. But and actually, if you weren't here earlier, what I was saying, like my kind of view of the Bible talks about the second coming of Christ. I don't believe that to be the reincarnation of Jesus or of a single individual, but rather I see that in humanity being saved as the collective energy that millions of us are starting to embody. And it's something that I like to think I'm part of those millions who are stepping up into carrying that forward into a new era of life on Earth and peace and love. Yeah, thanks for Bethany. Thanks for helping to moderate that. I had to do that a little bit earlier in the live stream with another person because it's like, okay, this is, you know, it's like I'm all for having fun and stuff, but sometimes people are just like trying to create problems. And I like creating solutions, or rather, I like showing people that, in fact, there are no problems. A friend of mine who recently visited, he's had quite a few struggles he'd been going through, and it tends to be like a common thing that many of these relationships that he would have with women would always just get worse and worse and worse, and they would like take advantage of him. So, but at some point when that starts to become like a cycle, it's like you got to look at. I was telling my friend, I'm like, well, what's the lowest common denominator? What's like, you know, like this is more than a coincidence, right? And it's because he's allowing that to happen. He's allowing himself to get in a situation to continue to get into relationships where he's giving too much and being taken advantage of and things are getting worse and worse and he's not saying no to it, right? Even to the point of like being cheated on and then still he says, oh well, maybe I can get over it. And I was telling him the other day, I'm like, well, when you're cheated on, it's like that's that's not the cause of the problem. That's a symptom of another problem, right? So if somebody's cheating on a relationship, that means that the relationship is not working anyways. It's, it's just showing you that it isn't working. So yeah, what do y'all what's going on in your lives? Anyone watching or anyone who wants to comment? Any questions for me at this time, or any questions for Spirit? I like to spread the concept that we're able to connect with higher consciousness and bring it through, connect with higher wisdom and bring it through to improve our lives. So in the meantime, while I wait for the chat to pick up or any questions or comments to be given, I will see if there is a spirit or consciousness that would like to come through me at this time to give a beneficial message to whoever may be listening. What would I do if Walmart sponsored me? Well, I guess I'd be very amused to have something happen like that. I'm not really sure what the connection would be, but certainly it would be nice to have some kind of networking connection that could bring about potential material abundance. Well, unfortunately, my mic is also just the phone, so that might be a little too much. But makes me glad that there's fresh air out here, though. It's not like being stuck in an elevator, you know. Not sure why anyone would want to be stuck in an elevator. I like having my feet placed firmly on the ground. More comfortable that way. Yeah, you could go ahead. I'm not really sure what the point of posting the same message more than once is, anyways. Oh. Yeah, I guess I'll continue to find my way towards getting a better audience. One thing that I did do yesterday is I figured out how to make how to easily make clips of my previous live streams, and I've started uploading those clips as separate videos. Most of them are short videos, since I've been doing most of these live streams as a vertical format, but there was the one that I did as a horizontal, like landscape format, and so I made more of the standard video clips from that one. But I'm excited to see how those do as well, because even if I do like a live stream like this, and there aren't very many like continuous viewers, sort of the changing energy of it is allowing me to enter into quite a range of subjects and receive like wisdom and answers um, from higher. And I find it to be translating into like some really good, informative, and helpful content for people that even though they may not see it live, I can then share it in those shorter form videos. Do I know how to ride? If so, well, I guess, what are we riding today? Um, when I was 5 years old, my dad got me my first dirt bike. So I learned how to ride dirt bikes, although I never became especially like great at it because I just didn't do it often enough. And then I got out of dirt bike riding. I got a street bike. And I got like comfortable with street bike riding, but I wouldn't say I was like the greatest. Like I never really like worked up a ton of confidence to do wheelies and stuff. But it didn't help that I never really had the same motorcycle for too long. Oh, what kind of dirt bike? So when I was 5 years old, my dad got me like a old 70s Honda like Z50. Well, there's a lot of types of riding we can go into, but some are more or less appropriate than others. you know. Uh, yeah. So I went from a Honda Z50 to a Honda 75cc to we had a Honda XR100 for a while, and then we got a 200cc dual sport uh, motorcycle, which I rode on the street quite a bit, and that was interesting because there were a couple times I took it on the freeway, but the thing could only, if you were tucking, you could only go like 65. Just pinging it off, you know, like 8,000 RPM or something like that, single cylinder. Um, but then after that, I sold that and I got a Suzuki SV650, 2002, which seemed like way too much bike for me at the time because it was just so much more powerful and um, it was so much more powerful and whatever. And I rode it like 500 miles in the first few weeks that I had it, but then I got really busy with work and like something with the starter stopped working and it ended up sitting in my mom's garage for like several years. And then I lost the key to it um, and had to get a key made. I eventually found the key like years after I sold it, but I sold the SV650. I got an Aprilia 750 V-twin. Um, and then I got a Triumph triple 955 ST, the sport touring one, um, which these are all like very cheap motorcycles that I bought. I think I actually was able to buy that Triumph for $1,000, and I had it a year and rode it like 2,000 miles, and then I sold it for 2,800. So that was my single best turnaround on any machine. And after that I bought a 2014 Yamaha. Oh geez, it's their naked their standard kind of motorcycle, the 850 three-cylinder, the first year that they went back to making the three-cylinder. I just can't remember like the letter name of it because they had actually changed the name after a few years to like a different combinations of letters. And yeah, other than that, I did ride horses a bit as a kid, and now I have a longboard, an electric longboard that I ride if there's pavement around. Right now, there's just a bunch of gravel roads around here. Small creators need to stick together. Yeah, I'll have to. I know I'll have to like go back and check. I think it takes like 24 hours after one of these live streams finishes for me to be able to go back and like look through the chat. But yeah, I might have to make some connections with people, and maybe if I find the right people, we can collaborate. Would I like to go out sometime? Well, that depends. Did I see your message? So now, since I'm doing this live stream right now, I can't see like anything else that's going on my phone. Like there's no other like notifications popping up or anything. So maybe, but if you want, you can can ride together. Well, I guess we'll see what you mean by that. But yeah, if you want to shoot me a comment there, I'll see if I can reply to it later, and maybe send you my email or something like that. So I don't know. I think it's kind of fun, the idea, like the potential of meeting other people by various and unexpected means. And I've had that happen a couple times, like over the course of the last like 13 or 14 months. And what's been really surprising about it is the fact that that can happen, that can come together, that you can meet a person online and for some reason they would drive across the country to like come live with you kind of thing. And then I found out that it's like, yeah, most of the time when you don't get the chance to meet people like in person, like say if you're just talking to them on Discord or chatting or whatever, they tend to be putting up not the most honest front. So, but I feel like I've been getting much more comfortable with being myself and projecting like what I feel like my true energy is, and being open to what experiences may arise with others depending on whether those experiences are synchronistic for the greater good, for the greater good experience of my life or the other person's life, you know? The recent ban of X videos. So is that like a particular website? Is that like a xvideos.com or something like that? Because I'm not especially, if it is like a particular website. I feel like I may have heard the name before. I'm not too familiar, but I do seem to remember. I seem to remember like seeing a couple YouTube videos. Maybe they were there was like a Joe Rogan or what's the other guy real popular that does those kind of those podcasts or interviews. I think they were talking about like one of the founders of that and some crazy thing that happened with like that website and some drama and whatever. I don't know. Do I know who used to own Twitter before Elon Musk changed it to X? I don't remember the name of who used to own Twitter. I do still think it's kind of weird that they tried to buy this platform and then like go ahead and change everything about it, including the name? Can I look it up? Well, I don't really have the ability right now because my phone is being used exclusively to record this, but I'll see if I'll I'll s- I'll ask I'll ask Spirit for an answer. Let's see if we can get an answer on the thoughts of a recent ban. What I'm getting through is control, limitation, tightening of the screws, um, narrowing of the different doors and portals and windows that people can walk through and experience. Yeah, having like a greater control over the collective to funnel them into a certain direction. And I think oftentimes when we see something get outright banned like that, it's because you have somebody who's allowing, um, say, a particular thing or freedom to happen that um, the those who would administer a society do not like, and they want to limit that. On the other hand, it may be, maybe there was actually like really bad stuff happening on there. I don't know for sure. Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's Christmas in July here because especially the last place that I was at that um, I recorded the other videos at, it was like surrounded by these Christmas tree farms. For some reason, they just really like to grow a lot of Christmas trees in this area. Ever rode a, well, since you want to know, yes, I am bisexual, and yes, I have done that. Not in quite a while, which is a little sad. Because, you know, I think, I think people, a lot of people, are too uptight about the too anal retentive about the limitations that they put on themselves of saying like, oh, I can only experience this or I can only experience that or I'm too scared to do this or do that because my ego is fragile and what will people think of me if they knew that I did this one thing possibly, right? Yeah. One could argue that from a biological standpoint, and this is more than just humans, that the bodies are kind of designed to be able to do that, and perhaps, just perhaps, males and females are not necessarily meant to like have sex all the time, but it may be more, have served more of a just reproductive role, and it's certainly possible, um, especially when you think back to ancient Roman, ancient Greek society, the ancient Druids and Celts. There was definitely a lot more homosexual activity going on, but it did not mean that those men were exclusively homosexual. It did not mean that they didn't have wives and they didn't have children. It just means that it, especially back in the days of where you didn't have condoms, it wasn't practical for men to be exclusively having sex with women because you know like they'd be getting pregnant all the time or whatever. So I think there was a lot more um, male on male bonding and activity than what people seem to be comfortable with today. And I think that may, the lack of that today, and to varying degrees, because like it can mean a lot, like intimacy, just being close together or being feeling like comfortable in another person's presence, and like you don't have to have like this wall up between you. I think there's been this real limitation um, that has gone against male bonding in particular, and it's really kicking men down and society as a whole down. It's kind of taking the power and self authority away by by compartmentalizing the idea of intimacy between, say, two men as saying, oh, that's strictly homosexual. And if that kind of activity occurs, then I'm going to label this person a certain way and believe X, Y, and Z about how the rest of their life is because they're just open enough to want to experience like this whole other level of intimacy. So, it's I've I spent a lot of years being closeted because although I'm attracted to some men, I'm attracted to some women. Uh, one kind of common thing is I'm really only attracted to people who are relatively like healthy, because if they're not healthy like physically or mentally, it's just like I just can't feel that, the energy is just a mismatch. So that kind of narrows the field quite a bit, let's say. But when I do find that right person, maybe it's something like 5% of women my are relatively close to my age, or 5% of men relatively close to my age that I have that attraction for. I'm not afraid to like admit to that or show that anymore. And I'm not afraid to have these multiple different intimate experiences and multiple different sexual experiences, which ultimately they are just experiences that build and contribute to what um, what my experience on Earth is and can be. So, so yeah, you know, people people might try to use that as a jab or to make fun of somebody, but I'm not afraid of it anymore. Let's see. Um, okay, no, I've never showed up to gay casting, but I'm starting to financially get to the point where it might not be such a bad idea. um, well, if you could do those things, that would be pretty talented. Takes a lot of flexibility. Donald Trump will grab the world by the pussy. Hey, that's locker room talk. It's locker room talk, man. Were you born in 1990? Yes, actually. YOLO, Home Alone, I'm not afraid anymore. Yeah, I believe we've lived many times actually, but depending on your perspective of that, you could be different, varying levels of adventurous. Okay, this just looks funny, so I'll read it for my own amusement. I'm interested in making a purchase of some of your fluids, either separately or all mixed together. I don't do anything weird with them. I just display them in my foyer on my handmade walnut shelf. Yeah, that's Great lettuce. Oh man, it's like I'm like getting to the point where I'm not sure what some of these messages are referring to, but that's okay. Maybe I'll get with the times eventually. I really haven't been on. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I like the hair too. Maybe I'll get to the point of learning the lingo as I interact more. My thoughts on trans women. Well, yeah, I don't know if it was to your comment or somebody else's, but I was talking about it about 45 or 30 minutes ago in this live stream, um, where I, I appreciate the freedom that people have these days to have their own unique experience going through life. I believe we're all spirit, um, and as spirit, we are genderless. However, we do often incarnate into um, male or female bodies, or potentially other life forms, which are neither or both or something else. And through that process of incarnating many times and having many life experiences, we tend as spirit to gain a preference to a style, if you want to call it masculinity or femininity, or just our own personal style that suits that more. But sometimes we incarnate as the opposite, to balance out our experience and to grow as spirit, and to learn more and to be able to understand both sides. And I think what we're seeing today is that a lot of the people who are maybe as spirit identifying, um, as as feminine, but then they find themselves, find themselves in the body of a man. I can understand their desire to want to pursue a life that is more fitting with how they feel as spirit. So I really appreciate the bravery of people who can make that choice for themselves. I think this is something that only adults should be making the choice of for themselves. I think that there's a lot of child abuse that goes on as far as kind of gaslighting and brainwashing kids. That's unfortunate, because we have to really honor these bodies, and there's a lot of damage that can be done if you're careless, especially when it comes to medications and surgeries and the healthcare system. And so somebody, in order to like make that change, like even as far as like taking hormones, like in my opinion, they better be an adult, and they better like really know that that's what they want for themselves. um, I feel like there is a little bit of perhaps an attitude adjustment that needs to happen among what we see portrayed often as the trans movement, because a lot of what we see portrayed, like through social media, tends to become very aggressive, and very demanding, that of people basically wanting to force others to think a certain thing or address them in a certain way. And I find those kind of attitudes to be very authoritarian. And, I do not appreciate authoritarians. So, what I like instead is, I think of like, say, you think of like a drag queen who's just having a time, having fun with something, like kind of making fun of themselves, but also at the same time being able to show off talents that they would not be otherwise be able to show off if they felt more limited to like only being very masculine. And I also think of like the movie um, gosh, what was it? The one from the 70s, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Um, I kind of really like the when you think of the like the main character in that, like the attitude of like I am this and just being that and showing that and being unafraid to be that, but they're not concerned about like what other people think. They're just like there's that punk attitude and that that's kind of that more of the angle that I like. More of the like I am this and I'm gonna be this like regardless of what anybody else thinks versus like I want to make sure I control what everyone else thinks. So okay. Let's see what's going on. You will submit to my will. Submit now. Lay on your back now. No, I think I'm good. But what do you watch on the P Hub? I've been quite disappointed with the selection available on, P Hub or things like that because I think they're like in the realm of what could potentially exist with creativity and with adult videos. There could be like a lot of really like more like fun, lighthearted content that could be created that isn't having to look at sex in such a I don't know gross way. um, I mean, like, what if there were like game shows or something, or like, because I'm sure most adults can think of like just some more spicy television shows on HBO or something where they really wish that they would have been allowed to like be that like a little bit more sexual, while still having like a good, really good production value and like really good story, um, and something like that. And unfortunately, videos on websites like that, important websites, they just suck. I mean, they don't capture my I don't find them entertaining or arousing because either they're just like really gross or they're if it's something that's like professionally made, it's just super like cheesy and super inauthentic. Um, but then for like amateur creators, I don't think they really quite have the ability or the freedom to create something that would really be worth watching. I kind of wish YouTube actually had more 18 plus content or not safe for work content, but maybe it does. I just haven't been sure how to find it because, man, it's like people got to get like less uptight about like people like as kids like we're like, oh, don't look at that, that's sex, that's adults only, that's but then we're as kids shown like all this violence and people killing each other and blood everywhere and guts, and it's like, okay, that's supposed to be less offensive than the literal thing that is the reason why everybody exists on this planet and is brought into literal physical creation, sex. Oh man. Anyways, you don't think people are watching for the acting skills? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. But I think acting can be fun. I did a little bit, like I did drama class my last couple years of high school, but I was so like shy at the time and unsure of myself and just didn't like have any confidence. And I really wish that I could do like an acting class or do like a stage production or something like that, or a play or skits now, because I found in the last few years I've just opened up so much more with my energy and creativity and my desire to express like not only how I'm feeling, but have the opportunity to express like these different uh, concepts, ideas, and role plays and whatever. And so, stretch it. Oh, it's starting to get later here, starting to cool down. I do really like sometimes how the colors, um, like this sort of orange or red or pink that's coming in on the trees now from the sun. Can't really see too much of sunset colors. Welcome back, Chakra Healing. So yeah, I invite anyone to ask any questions or bring up any subjects for me to talk about. Chakra heal, I could talk about chakra healing though, because there's like a multi-step process to that. You have the base chakra, root chakra, leading up to the sacral, solar plexus, the heart, the throat, third eye, and crown. Additionally, we also have chakras above that, which if you've had a time where you're feeling like really high, you might actually really connect with those, and that can be pretty incredible. How do I eat? It's a little monocle. Man, I've had like quite a few different styles of eating in the past. There was a few years that I was doing a 1 meal a day. So it's like where you go from intermittent fasting to like the more condensed version of that to only having 1 meal a day. But when I was doing that, I was having like these great big meals, like 2,500 calories in one sitting, and not eating the healthiest stuff either. So I kind of stopped doing that for a while. There was like a year that I tried being vegan, and I actually was guided, I would say, by spirit to stop that after a year because in addition to other things that was happening at the time, I started becoming too ungrounded, where basically I was becoming like a space cadet and just floating off and not really not feeling like I was able to bring energy down to earth and being able to put it forward into meaningful use. And so I did start eating meat again at that point. But I've never been a real big meat eater. And recently, I've had some times where I've done fasting before. Earlier this year, I did 100. I was able to do a fast for 111 hours, which is like 4.5 days without eating. And I think the next time, the next time I try to do a fast, I'm actually going to try to do a sardine fast where you just drink water and eat like 2 cans of sardines a day, and it's supposed to supercharge the effects of normal water fast. But I do like entering this time of year, like the blackberries started. There's some blackberries starting to be ripe. And so I was day picking and eating a decent amount of those. So otherwise, I like to do very improvisational cooking where I'll just take whatever's in the kitchen or the fridge and be like, I'm going to take that and throw it together and then add seasoning to taste. And I've gotten quite good over the years of cooking for myself or my partner, of just being able, like, gaining that ability to season things to taste how I want. You know, through the process of cooking, being able to taste something and be like, oh, it needs this, it needs that, and, really spice it up and make it delicious. How do you eat? Well, I would say I don't eat. I find that I don't need to eat as much as I used to. Hmm. Well, I guess I'm starting to wind down. If there's anybody still watching, you can. Oh, actually, my phone is down to 15% battery now, so we'll have to wrap up in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Um, but yeah, if you guys have anything else you're curious about, or otherwise, I can see if I'll see if there's any closing message that wants to come through. It's like I wonder if energy can be shared with the eyes rather than just the words. Or if I can allow my energy to expand to be able to convey, to be able to demonstrate on its own. To give example. I want to thank anyone who has tuned in to connect with these videos, anyone who tunes in the future. I hope that you continue to find the synchronistic path to lead you to where you desire. And I hope that I can become a part of that for people who may be benefited by the energy that which may come through me. I truly hope that you, each one, may find peace and love and joy in your lives, and that you may find it today and in the now. May find how to go about life in a way that does not have to feel so taxing. There is infinite abundance available. There are no limits to it. And you, beloved ones, may reach out to accept this love and light and peace and grace and abundance. To simply ask for it. Ask aloud in your politeness towards consciousness, towards spirit. Ask if you may receive those things which you desire. I think it's been many years since I've really felt genuine smile or laughter come through. But it's all coming back now. And maybe it's something that can spread. The energy that we can share with others as we connect with them, it can make such a difference. We can be a very positive influence on others around us, or connected through means like this. And that positive influence can build upon itself. It can spread. We can pay it forward. It can become unstoppable. I could probably use a shower too. Well, for those of you who just joined, are there any questions you have for me? I do have just a few minutes left. Been doing this live stream for 2.5 hours and my phone is getting close to dead. But so I'll give it another minute. People are nice, but alone in the great outdoors is awesome too. Yeah, I like being outside. And alone much of the time. So this is what Mr. Beast looks like. I hope I gradually turn into more of just a beast over the years. Hello, hi. had a guy tell me you looked like him the other day. Yeah, I wonder how many doppelgangers really are out there. You know, we just see like the celebrity ones because everybody knows the certain celebrities. The discount version. Hey, it's okay to be a discount version sometimes. I mean, it still earns like 5%, right? All right, well, anyone watching, thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for participating and commenting. I look forward to seeing you again. I look forward to doing many more of these live stream videos. You can check out, I'm going to publish this one to be viewed later, and I also have the ones, I started doing them this week, the ones from the last 4 days are published, and additionally there are some clips that I made from the other ones and clips I'll make from this one, which I'm going to upload as separate videos. So yeah, thanks, good luck to y'all as well, and stay safe and have fun, and good night.